Hello everyone, this is Princeton Connect. Today we'll be talking about the ancient Chinese culture along with its food, holidays, ethnic minorities, and etiquette. First, we'll start off with the different delicious Chinese food.
Rice balls are a very famous and common dish in China. They're usually sweet, but there's also some that are salty. And for the sweet one, they have sesame on the inside or there's peanut butter on the inside. There's many different flavors to it, but these are just the common ones. These rice balls are eaten during the Lantern Festival as a tradition because during the Lantern Festival, families and relatives from far away gather together to unite together, which is also why they eat these rice balls, because rice balls symbolize union. This is because union and balls in China sounds the same, which is why in order to, when the families gather together, they like to eat rice balls together. Chinese tea are one of the most famous and common tradition and culture of China. It has a history of 4,700 years, and China is also the first country to use tea tree to make tea. In China, tea is also a type of art. It is not only a type of food because of the way you drink the tea and the type of tea you drink. In addition, tea also symbolizes your status in ancient time. The better quality tea you drink, that means the richer and wealthier you are, which is why tea is a very important part of Chinese culture. In addition, there are also different tea for different seasons, and different part of the tea tree is also used to make different type of tea. Scallion pancakes are a famous street food in China. They are usually crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside, and they're also salty and rich with flavor. The most common type of scallion pancake usually have eggs and sometimes cheese in it. It really depends on your preference. You can literally add anything into these pancakes.
Moving on to holidays. Today we'll be introducing the Mid-Autumn Festival and the Spring Festival.
Chang'e flying to the moon. There was once a happy couple, Hou-Yi, a hero, and his beautiful wife Chang'e. Hou-Yi has a pill that will help whoever took it become a god and sent to heaven immediately. He asked his wife to keep it. One day, a villain broke into her home and demanded Chang'e to hand over the pill. In a moment of desperation, Chang'e swallowed the pill. Reluctant to leave her husband, Chang'e tried her best to fly to the moon, which is the nearest place to the earth in heaven. Hou-Yi missed Chang'e a lot, so on the day of the full moon, he placed on tables foods that Chang'e liked. This custom later formed the Mid-Autumn Festival.
The Mid-Autumn Festival is one of the most important Chinese holidays. It's celebrated to mark the end of the harvest season. It's quite similar to Thanksgiving in the United States. People give thanks to nature's abundance. Appreciate the full moon is a common activity people do during the holiday. It's said that the moon is closest to the earth and looks the brightest during the Mid-Autumn Festival. Gazing at the moon is an ancient tradition dating back to the Zhou dynasty. Many people choose to go outdoors to appreciate the moon on the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival. Family reunion is another important tradition. People associate the round full moon with the reunion of a family. As Mid-Autumn Festival represents the reunion of families, all family members make their way home to attend a big family fest and enjoy family gathering. Lanterns are a beautiful source of light during Mid-Autumn Festival celebrations. Lantern carnivals and exhibitions are held in parks and other public places. The lanterns have different shapes, including various types of animals and flowers. Many people also make Kouming lanterns. Kouming lanterns are made with paper and there is a candle burning inside. Children write good wishes on the lanterns and let them fly up into the sky. Eating mooncakes is a popular Mid-Autumn Festival tradition in China. A mooncake is a traditional Chinese pastry. It's made from wheat flour and sweet stuffing. Mooncakes were used to worship the moon god and is also a symbol of family reunion.
The story of Nian. Long, long ago, there was a man-eating monster named Nian. Nian would come on land to attack every year on the last day of the lunar year. This was the night everyone lived in terror. So, on New Year's Eve, all the villagers would take their loved one deep into a mountain to take shelter from the beast. One year, on that night, a traveler came to town looking for food and shelter. A kind lady offered him a meal. After his meal, the passerby decided to bestow a secret of how to be rid of the New Year beast. Afterward, the old woman told the villagers that Nian was afraid of loud noises and the color red. That year, the villagers lit firecrackers and red lanterns all around their houses, pasted red papers on their walls and windows, wore red clothes, and banged loud gongs and drums. Since Nier has never returned, this eventually became the tradition of Chinese New Year.
Chinese Spring Festival is also known as Chinese New Year. It's the most important holiday in China, just as Christmas in the Western cultures. During Spring Festival, elders usually put some money into red packets and then hand out to the younger generation. To bring good luck, red packets are then kept under the pillow and slept on for 7 nights after Chinese New Year before opening. During Spring Festival, firecrackers are always set off at midnight. The use of firecrackers can be traced to the legend of the monster Nian in 2,000 years ago, when people threw bamboo into fire to drive away the monster. After gunpowder was invented, firecrackers replaced the bamboo. The biggest event of any Chinese New Year's Eve is the annual reunion dinner. In present days, many households hold parties and count down to the new year. During Spring Festival, people also paste the Spring Festival couplets and the food character. The Spring Festival couplets are a pair of poetry celebrating the new year. They are pasted on doorways to protect against evil and express people's good wishes. The Chinese character Fu means good luck. The red diamond-shaped Fu characters on the entrances of Chinese homes are usually seen hanging upside down. This is because the Chinese character Dao means arrival has the same pronunciation with the one meaning upside down. Pasting the Fu character upside down meaning the arrival of happiness or good fortune, which is a widely accepted custom among Chinese people. The Chinese zodiac is also a really interesting aspect of Chinese culture. In Chinese culture, each year is represented by an animal. For example, 2020 is the year of rats. There are 12 Chinese zodiac signs in the following order: rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. There is a story behind the zodiac rankings. Long ago, there was no Chinese zodiac. The Jade Emperor wanted to select 12 animals to be his guards. He sent an immortal being into man's world to spread the message that the earlier one went through the heavenly gate, the better rank one would have. The next day, animals set off towards the heavenly gate. Rat got up very early. On his way to the gate, he encountered a river. He had to stop there because he can't swim. After waiting a long time, Rat noticed Ox about to cross the river, and so he jumped into Ox's ear. The diligent Ox did not mind. After crossing the river, Ox raced towards the palace of the Jade Emperor. Suddenly, Rat jumped out of Ox's ear and dashed to the feet of the Emperor. Therefore, Rat won the first place and Ox was the second. The Tiger and Rabbit came third and fourth because both of them are fast and competitive, but Tiger was faster. The good-looking dragon was fifth and was immediately noticed by the Jade Emperor, who said Dragon's son could be sixth. But Dragon's son didn't count with him that day. Just then, Snake came forward and said Dragon was his adopted father. Therefore, Snake ranked after Dragon. Horse and Goat arrived. They were very kind and modest, and each let the other go first. The Jade Emperor saw how polite they were and ranked them 7th and 8th. Monkey had fallen well behind, but he jumped between trees and he finally caught up to be the 9th. Later were Rooster, Dog, and Pig.
Ethnic minorities and religion. As of today, there are 56 ethnic groups in China that are all categorized as Asian. However, many people, including myself, don't know much about the variety of these ethnic groups because Han Chinese alone makes up around 92% of the total population. Therefore, the remaining 55 ethnicities altogether only make up around 8% of the total population in China, and they have mostly gathered autonomously in the vast plains in the west. The Zhuang Chinese. They are the largest minority group in China. They actually call themselves by other names. The most common would be the Bu Zhuang, and the Zhuang Chinese is actually just a name for other people to refer to. They are mostly gathered in autonomous regions where they're self-governed, and some of their taboos are that they don't kill animals on the first day of the first lunar month. Their brides must stay with their natal family until their first child is born, and that their young ladies are not allowed to eat beef or the meat of dogs. More than that, a visiting couple, which means if a couple were to visit their parents or their relatives, they cannot sleep in the same room because that would be disrespectful to the elderly. And they usually wear blue, black, or brown clothing, but of course there are always exceptions. The Hui Chinese. They're the second largest minority group after the Zhuang, and they do speak Mandarin as their first language. However, there are Chinese Muslims whose ancestors came from Islamic Persia and Central Asia. Most of them live in rural areas so that they can engage in a large scale of agriculture. And they like to celebrate the stages of life, which means they have a birth ceremony, naming ceremony, full moon ceremony, 100-day ceremony, weekly ceremony, circumcision, wedding, funeral, etc. One of their biggest taboos is that they don't eat pigs because of their Islamic beliefs, mythology, and just the belief that pigs aren't clean to eat. The Uyghur Chinese. The Uyghurs in China are a Turkic minority that were originally Christian, Buddhist, and Manichaean. However, they turned Islamic after Turkic invasions from a long time ago. They're very similar to the Hui Chinese since they're both Muslim Chinese with Islamic beliefs. So like the Hui, they don't eat pork and they don't drink alcohol. Most of them also live off of agriculture, and they're actually the largest producers of grape in China. They love silk and they love dancing and singing. Their women would actually reveal their appearances in public, which is uncommon among the Muslims. Their biggest celebration is the Korban Festival, which is a chance for them to really express their faith in the Islamic religion. They wouldn't eat for half of the day, and when it's time to feast, they would slaughter livestock into 3 parts. One part would be for the owners to eat, one would be for relatives and neighbors, and the last would be for donations to the poor. As of now, in 2020, the Chinese government is actually secretly forcing Uyghurs, along with many other Muslim groups, into concentration camps, and they would forcefully re-educate and brainwash them because they claim that the Islamic religion is evil. Chinese etiquettes. If you wish to have a polite and respectful appearance in China, you will have to learn the unique Chinese etiquettes that are oftentimes not so common in other parts of the world. And this includes their way of greetings, their way of handling presents, and their table manners. In terms of greetings, you want to address someone you're not close with by their last names and by either Miss or Mr. Remember that married women in China do not change their last names like Americans do. They would just stay with their maiden names. It's also important to know that Chinese people tend to be very curious about personal things, such as jobs, family status, and your education, etc. So instead of being set back by their questions, just respectfully turn them down if you don't feel comfortable answering them. In addition, you don't want to make too much body contact, especially with someone of a different sex, because Chinese are often very conservative about their bodies, and that also relates to conservative clothing. You also don't want to hold too firmly in a handshake because it shows a hostile and aggressive behavior. In addition to greetings, you have to be mindful of how to handle gifts with Chinese people. You always want to give and receive presents with 2 hands so that you fully show your respect towards someone. It's also common for Chinese to bring back presents from a trip for their family and friends to show that they care and remember them. However, you also have to be mindful not to be too eager to receive a gift. For example, Chinese people would oftentimes say no to a present several times before they accept it. By doing this, it brings out the high level of generosity of the giver as well as the receiver's appreciation. And don't open the gift right at the spot unless the giver insists you to do so, especially when you receive a red envelope full of money, because it is disrespectful to some extent. Lastly, you should try to make sure that you don't give anything related to the number 4, such as clocks or maybe $400, because 4 in Chinese sounds like the word death. And so most families would take it pretty offensively if you were to give a present related to the number 4. Chinese are not the best at table manners, but there are some unique things to remember. For example, at a formal gathering, it's polite to give a toast or to contribute in one to show your respect, and it doesn't always have to be with alcohol. In Chinese restaurants, it's almost always the case that you would receive both a plate and a bowl. This is so that you can eat with the bowl and put in edibles or things that you don't want on the plate, which is underneath the bowl. This has always been a common habit for the Chinese when eating. A big taboo when eating is to not stick your chopsticks upright in a bowl of rice, because it's a sign to honor the dead. And remember that Chinese loves offering food and stuffing food into someone's bowl, because that's also a way of them expressing their love and care. So don't back away abruptly, but rather politely and patiently. Lastly, I do want to make a disclaimer that most of these Chinese etiquettes are usually just for formal occasions or with people you're not familiar with, and they're not always so strictly followed in individual families, because too much etiquette does generate a sense of disconnection and aloofness, which isn't the purpose for family members.
That's it for today. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope that you learned something new. See you next week.